Top American and Ukrainian officials are holding high-stake discussions in Saudi Arabia aimed at ending Russia's war in Ukraine. Ukraine's chief of staff saying talks started out as, quote, very constructive. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is hoping the meeting will help revive pragmatic ties with the United States after his tense exchange with President Donald Trump at the White House last month. U.S. State Secretary Marco Rubio is leading the American delegation. He earlier said that it would be important to gauge if Ukraine is willing to make concessions to end its war with Russia. And as crunch talks are taking place in Saudi Arabia, Kyiv launched its largest drone attack on Moscow to date. Russian officials reporting that at least 3 people were killed. And for more, Kate Fisher joins us live from Washington, D.C., and Ross Cullen from Kyiv. Let's go to Ross first. Ross, what's the ideal outcome for Kyiv from these talks in Saudi Arabia?
Well, Sue, if we look at the comments from Andriy Yermak, who is the chief of staff to the office of President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and the lead negotiator, part of that Ukrainian delegation, he has said that we are ready to do everything to achieve peace. One of his final comments before he went into that initial meeting with the United States delegation, ready to put everything on the table that Kyiv feels it can offer the United States to be able to continue to advance towards possible peace negotiations. Now, if we also look at other comments from Andriy Yermak, Ukraine must be given security guarantees that lend credibility to a future ceasefire agreement. So, Sue, that's one of the things they would like right from the start. Security guarantees that can underpin any future ceasefire deal. There's also another side to it. You mentioned the drone attack in the introduction. Well, that's a reminder from Ukraine that it can still carry out external attacks. It can still carry out fatal drone attacks on Russia deep inside, targeting the country's capital city. So a reminder to Russia that it still has that external capacity, and a reminder to the United States that it could stop those air attacks, potentially something that Ukraine could offer if Russia and the United States accept President Zelensky's idea of a truce at sea and in the air. That's something that could potentially be stopped, external attacks by Ukraine. So they've offered a way that they will be able to row back from some of their military engagements if they can be met in the middle, if there can be a peace. But certainly one of the things that they do want to see also is renewed backing from the United States. Hopefully that flow of military aid being restarted.
All right, thanks for that, Ross. Kate, we just heard that from Ross. Renewed backing from Washington. That is what Kyiv would like to see. What would the U.S. like to see? How are they framing these talks?
Well, Secretary of State Marco Rubio also had a few comments ahead of that meeting, just like his Ukrainian counterparts. And he did say that he hoped there was room to resolve some of that pause in military aid, and he said he had good expectations for this meeting because it is also, of course, about repair between the relationship between Ukraine and US. Up until recently, strong allies. They need to make up some of that relationship after that disastrous Oval Office meeting between Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Donald Trump. But Marco Rubio also, as you pointed out, saying that there must be from this meeting a strong sense that Ukraine is prepared to do different things, i.e. make concessions. What do those concessions look like? Already Ukrainians have said they're happy, they would be considering a truce over the sea and the air. The mineral deals with the US, is that back on the table? But what territory is Ukraine willing to give up? That territory that the Russians have already annexed in eastern Ukraine. These kind of questions will be the ones that the US want to get answers from. But the mood going in looks like it's relatively positive from the US side. And of course, the US wants, Donald Trump certainly wants to be seen to be a peacemaker in all of this. So they do want to have something concrete out of this meeting so that they can then go to the Russians and advance these peace talks. These are kind of the peace talks, the talks ahead of the real talks that will, of course, happen with Russia involved.
Well, thanks, Zed. We'll see whether both sides can reach a common middle ground. Kate Fisher in Washington, D.C. and Ross Cullen in Kyiv.